Hi, doing an interesting video today. I made a discovery that's made an impact on my life, and I've noticed that as I've done these videos about different things that I'm interested in, I find other guys my same age making the same discoveries and making the same videos. So this is what happened. It's kind of an interesting story. My whole life I've had terrible handwriting. And the reason I've had terrible handwriting, in my opinion, is that when I was a first grader in like 1970, 69 or 7, the height of the hippie era. So when they taught us to write and handed us a pencil, man, there was nobody that was going to spoil our groove by telling us what hand to pick up the pencil with. So it was just like, pick up the pencil, man. We're going to learn to write a letter, the ABCs or your name or whatever. And so if you had a question like, well, what hand? Well, no, man, just pick it up with whatever hand feels natural to you, man. And I picture my big fat first grade teacher with her big bouffant. I think if somebody would have said to me, pick up your pencil with your right hand, and then watch the children, and the children that struggled said, okay, well, you're left-handed, so put the pencil in your left hand. Well, it would have changed decades of writing for me, because my handwriting, man, I was one of these guys. This was before computers, obviously, and none of us had typewriters, so all the work we did in school was written by hand, and usually in pencil. So I've got I got a pencil or a pen or whatever, just gripped in my left hand, and I'm just scratching out letters like a caveman on a paper. And I remember I would write them all very close together, and my hand would smear across the paper and leave this gray cloud behind. And then the teacher would look at my paper and say, "This is terrible. Look, I can't read it. It's horrible. This looks awful. Aren't you ashamed?" But nobody ever taught us how to write. There was a little bit of instruction in the second and third grade on how to do cursive, but very little practice and very little one-on-one. Here's how you do it. Here's how you do cursive. So I've just lived with terrible handwriting. And when the computer age came along, I was like, oh, I'm freed. No one ever has to write anything with a pen or pencil again. We type everything on your computer. So all the important stuff, journals and other things, anything I've ever typed into a computer, I thought, well, it's safe there now. Well, then I started realizing I've gone through many computers over the last 20 years and haven't always been able to successfully transfer over all documents onto new computers or save them or print them out or whatever. And it's not a foolproof way of saving the things we want to write. My sister sent me a collection of emails I've sent to her over the years that she loved and thought were really funny and humorous and well written that should be preserved. But again, it's a computer file somewhere. It could easily be lost. So I think that handwriting is something that merits attention, and here's how it merits attention for me. Last Christmas, I was Christmas shopping, and I went into a beautiful stationery store in Salt Lake City in Trolley Square called Tabula Rasa. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if that's wrong. And one of the things they sold there were beautiful fountain pens in beautiful display cases. And I was looking at them, browsing through them as I did my Christmas shopping, and I thought, what a shame. Those are beautiful pens. It's a shame that I'm not worthy of having one. I don't have good handwriting, so why would I ever need a beautiful fountain pen? And then as I drove home, I thought, baloney. I don't want to swear on these videos. Why shouldn't I be able to have a beautiful fountain pen? It looked just stunning, and they had little fountain pen holders and pen holders for your desk, and beautiful pens, and some of them were more than $1,000, and some of them were $100 or $200 or $50, all different kinds of pens. And I thought, I want a fountain pen. I want one, and I want to learn to write with it. And if you've seen any of these other videos, I've gone through this kind of period of self-discovery over the last about 5 years, deciding I can do some things that I thought I couldn't do. Also, I've got Amazon now, so I start searching, and holy cow, they've got all different kinds of pens at different prices. And I order one, and it was this one, the Pilot Metropolitan. And it's all metal, and it showed up in the mail. Holy cow, that was beautiful. And I wrote with it with my left hand, and it was amazing how it felt. It didn't feel like anything I'd ever written with before. And I thought, I'm not going to smear the page with the ink from this pen. So I started writing with my right hand, and I loved it. It felt really good, and I started looking up YouTube videos about penmanship and trying the things that they told us to do do this and do that and do these practices, these exercises, and I ordered a Spencerian practice book, and I started having a lot of fun with this pen. And I thought, well, I wanted another one, so I went into the same Tabula Rasa in Trolley Square in Salt Lake, and I bought this Faber-Castell Loom for about 50 bucks, I think. Beautiful pen, had a fine nib. The Pilot Metropolitan that I have has a medium nib. This has a fine nib, and I kept practicing. And then I found out something interesting about fountain pens. They do better on certain kinds of paper, and I still haven't really gotten into that. I haven't purchased paper that is especially for fountain pens, but I have noticed I bought a journal, and I bought a Piccadilly book with prompts in it, and different papers respond differently to these fountain pens and are easier to write with, and it's been amazing to discover, and this is still part of my journey. So I started discovering YouTube videos about pens, but at the same time I started finding on the internet that there were fantastic pens at affordable prices, and one of them, because as I learned about and watched videos about different kinds of nibs, there seems to be an assumption in a stationery store that you either want a medium or a fine or an extra fine nib, and I saw some videos by people who were saying, no, that's the whole point of a fountain pen. Get a broad nib or a stub or an italic. So I looked for italic, and I came across this Pilot Plumix with an italic nib, and I'm learning to write with it. And I'm not showing examples of my handwriting because although it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm actually right-handed now, and I write very comfortably with my right hand, and everybody that looks at my handwriting is very surprised at how good it looks, how good my handwriting is becoming. I'm very excited about that. So this Plumix, the end twists off, and it's got this italic nib, and that's been fun to learn to write with. And so then as I started to see these videos about inexpensive pens that are really cool, I decided to do the Jinhao thing, a broad nib, X450, and it's really neat. It's all metal, and it was like $6. And the nib looks really cool, and it writes this big, thick, broad line, and I've really enjoyed that, practicing with it and writing on paper with bigger lines, and seeing and really focusing on the flourishing of my handwriting has been really cool. I like the Jinhao so much, but I wanted one with a smaller nib, so I ordered this gray marbled one that has a medium nib, and that's been really exciting. And then I started buying diamine inks. And so I've bought the black green, which I love, and I bought the denim for a blue, which is almost not distinguishable with blue. I really like it, and I'm experimenting with all this stuff, and I really am enjoying the journey. And I'm going to have a video coming up with something very exciting about pens. But anyway, bottom line is I have loved the fountain pens, and I've loved writing with them, and I have loved how it's improved my handwriting, made me feel about myself, and I've been filling up journals that I've got from Piccadilly Ink, and I've given them as gifts. I gave my daughter one, and I gave my sister one, and the ones with prompts, some of them the story of your life, some of them writing prompts. I'm going to give my son a sketching one. I have given one of my sons a Sailor fountain pen. It's become something that I want to share with the people around me that I love and that I care about. I gave a good friend at work a Piccadilly Ink story of my life journal, and I think that the day will come if we write these paper journals, these written journals, put them in a shelf, in a bookcase, people who love us in the years to come will find them. Yeah, maybe they'll get old and crumbly and fall apart one day, but I think it's very important, and it's something that was almost lost through the computer age. But writing this stuff with a neat pen, a pen that you love, in a journal that you love. Get a Franklin planner and use it as a journal and write in it. They have journal inserts and stuff. So anyway, actually writing our daily activities and recording our journals with a neat pen, it's become something I'm very passionate about, and I'm going to have more information on that coming up soon. So yeah, stay tuned.